Welcome to the Marhaba Crypto Show. We got our second episode today, and my name is Ahmed Jawa. We got Moby with me here. How are you doing, Moby?
Good, my man. I'm very good, Ahmed. Ethereum turned 6 this weekend. So I don't know, don't anyone attack me for celebrating birthdays. We can at least appreciate the gifts. So I'm happy. I'm a
For
very
sure.
happy camper today.
For sure, for sure. Okay, so for today's show, we're gonna be talking about a few different things. So to start off, Moby's gonna be talking about the market update. I'm gonna jump into what's happening with Marhaba. Then we're gonna go into the crypto thought of the week, which is investing versus trading, and then community questions if you have any, and we're gonna get into a communal conversation about what's going on.
Okay, fantastic. All right, let's get started with the market update of the week. So, if you've been watching the show, I hope this trend can continue, Ahmed. Every time we do an episode, it seems to be a good market day. But Bitcoin has been rallying and rallying strong. So, honestly, Bitcoin hasn't looked this good since. Let me just get my chart up there. So Bitcoin hasn't looked this good since before it crashed in early May. The fundamentals are
Hmm.
strong. $1 billion hedge funds are coming around. Honestly, the amount of big money, we spoke a little bit about this last week, that has been coming into crypto and specifically Bitcoin is too much
Yeah.
for us to fit into this episode. A lot of that's happening. Countries are coming around. And on the daily chart here, we've had 11 green candles in a row. And that's the best we've had, the best rally we've had since before we dipped. Now, specifically
Hmm.
this time around, what did help was the Bitcoin options expiry. So every month, there's it's a form of trading called options where buyers and sellers have the option but not the right to buy or sell at a certain price. Not to get too technical, but essentially what Bitcoin had to do, Bitcoin had to close, and this just happened a day ago, above the $40,000 mark for the bulls to profit and rally the prices even higher. Now, this is really promising because even though so last week we announced that Amazon was looking into possibly accepting Bitcoin, news came out that Amazon sort of, tried to ebb the fire a little bit to say, look, that's not happening. We deny that's happening. But obviously, we know they're still creating this department, right? They just don't want it out yet. But anyway, even
Hmm.
despite that, it kept rallying and it didn't affect the price, which is really, really good news. So, of course, actually, I need to ask you, Ahmed, what's your favorite crypto? Obviously, apart from Marhaba, it's not out yet. But in terms of what's out and live now, what's your favorite?
Oh yeah. I have a few actually. But I think for the conversation, I would say I'm currently really liking stuff like Cardano, stuff like Polkadot, things like HBAR, which is their Hashgraph, and then there's a few which are like out of the blue, which are a lot different, which is something like Helium, or there's also Graft, right?
Love
So
helium.
there's
Yeah.
all, yeah, so there's all these different ones, and they all have phenomenal utility use cases. I like a few, let's say, DeFi's, but for this conversation, I think I'm gonna stick to those.
Right.
How
Okay.
about you? How about you?
Okay.
How about you? You tell
Well,
me.
mine's Ethereum. Mine's definitely Ethereum, but I was like curious to know what
Okay.
yours is. But
Yeah,
obviously, I have
Ethereum's
a
is up
bunch.
up there.
It's
Ethereum's up there
it's
for
sort
sure.
of the gun to head. You can only keep one crypto. What is it? That for me is Ethereum. It's obviously not my only favorite, but is that's
Uh
my
huh.
sort of gun to the head one. What's your one?
Okay.
Like if you had to keep one, today, what would it be?
Mine's way too difficult to answer. Okay, you know what? I don't. Okay, so this is gonna sound very weird because I'm not a huge Bitcoin investor, buyer, and trader. But if I had to buy one, it would either be Bitcoin or Ethereum. Yeah, I agree with you. But because I got that different mindset when it comes to trading and investing while I'm investing, then that's why there's the other ones. But if it was only one and I could only choose one, then yeah, it would be Ethereum because that's the best in when it comes to the econometrics we study a utility function. So when it comes to risk to return possibilities, Ethereum is probably the best one. So that's why I would say, yeah, Ethereum. And plus, Ethereum's like got a lot of use cases. A lot of people are using it. So for sure, Ethereum. Yeah, I'd agree with you on that. Or
Awesome.
Bitcoin. Or Bitcoin. Yeah, yeah,
Awesome. Awesome. Cool.
yeah.
Okay. That's one thing to know. It's hard to get a gun to the head answer from Ahmed, but I'm gonna take it as Ethereum. I'm gonna take it as Ethereum. Anyway, so speaking of obviously utility, Ethereum obviously turned 6, and it was just yesterday actually. So 6 years since the Ethereum has been around, and
Mhm.
from fundamentally, right, like it just keeps performing well and well. So obviously, the right now the rally, of course, some of it can be attributed to the Bitcoin price, the Bitcoin's option expiring as well, but also we are also back to mid June levels as well. This is obviously just a 4 hour chart here. If we can close above that level, which is a very important support resistance line here, which is just over 2.5, then that is very
Mhm.
bullish for Ethereum as well. But not to get too much into the technical side, speaking of I guess the utility and the function that you were talking about, Ahmed. I didn't know this, but apparently in India there is a huge problem with people, verifying credentials and faking credentials. So this is quite interesting because a few weeks ago, it seems like this happens almost every month. India is banning, unbanning crypto, right? There's always some talks around that. But however, India is set to use Ethereum blockchain to verify diploma certificates. So the government of
Wow.
Maharashtra, you can do that better than me, can't you,
Maharashtra.
Ahmed?
Yeah,
Maharashtra, thank
Maharashtra.
you.
Yeah.
Thank you. I've
Yeah.
been in Australia too long. Recently announced a partnership with the Indian blockchain startup LegitDoc to implement a credentialing system powered by Ethereum to provide tamper-proof diploma certificates. Now, this is
Wow.
really, really interesting because I'm not going to say it, but the MSBD opposes India's crypto brand, the narrative, the ban narrative, and
Hmm.
actually saying, no, we actually need this, we want this, we see the utility. For them, it's not about crypto, non-crypto, it's actually about having some sort of way or utility to verify credentials. And this is great for,
Hmm.
students who need to verify their credentials. It's great for employers who need to make sure the people they're hiring have the right credentials. And it's good for all around. So it's really, really good to see that you can't just see that as a silo when someone says, oh, India's banning or the US is banning or China is banning. There are multiple elements there. I mean, China's very different, right? That's a communist
Yeah.
regime. So if they say it, it's going to happen, right? But the rest of the world, it's a little bit more nuanced than that.
Yeah.
Now,
Yeah.
last year we had what they called the summer of DeFi. If you remember, if you followed last year, or even if you've been following this year, you would have heard, last year was the summer of DeFi. And what essentially they were talking about is a lot of DeFi coins, anything related in that spectrum, finance coins, that sort of thing, were blowing up.
Hmm.
This year, I would call it the summer of possibly of gaming coins, right? And I
Yes.
would bring
Yes.
that into two
NFTs.
categories, NFTs as well, right? So I would
Yeah. Yeah.
specifically put that into two categories. So one, actual gaming coins like Axie Infinity has just rallied, right? It's just gone crazy. It's a blockchain
Hmm.
based game. There's another one called Aave Gochi. And again, it's not my time or job or place to talk about whether some of these are halal or not halal. The point I'm trying to make is, and Aave Gochi is possibly a questionable one because it obviously deals with Aave and some other
Yeah.
nuances there. But the point is blockchain games, and also, and what I do want to throw into that when I say the summer of gaming is fan tokens as well. Obviously, one is
Yes.
referring to games that are offline, and one's referring to games that are online. But just
Hmm.
on the actual, on the offline side, Socios, who is obviously connected with Chili's, they are just
Hmm.
blowing up, right? So I mean, this is just a quick sort of Google search on fan tokens. You'll see, Arsenal signing with Socios. Arsenal, there's Cleveland Cavs, Japanese pro football, AC Milan. So Rangers. I mean, this is a
Yeah.
live search. You can do that yourself. So it tells you two things: one, fan tokens, and two, Socios and
Hmm.
Chili's are just crushing it right now. Um,
Yeah. Yeah. I'm shocked that India hasn't came out with like cricket NFTs yet. I was
like a
thinking about they were
2020
gonna have
or
like
yeah, yeah. I
yeah, yeah.
I
Oh,
think they will.
Australia. I mean, you're in Australia. Yeah. Yeah.
I think that look, it's a matter of time, right? You have,
Yeah.
just like, and I think this happens in pockets. So right now, it's happening a lot in soccer and basketball as well. So obviously, the
Exactly. Yeah.
Cleveland Cavs, they've joined platform Socios, and it's actually quite clever how they're doing it because I think with these guys, it's more of a brand sponsorship, right? So just like
Yeah.
recently, UFC partnered with Crypto.com and had that on their jerseys. Socios is doing that with Cleveland Cavs as well, which is huge. Like, one of the biggest
Yeah.
franchises on earth, right? It's huge, but they're also in talks
Yeah.
to release fan tokens. Chicago
Hmm.
Bulls as well. You know, Chicago Bulls, and you were talking about NFTs earlier. They're teaming up with Shopify to launch NFT series. So whether it is an NFT or a fan token, and just on fan tokens, because I'll be honest, Ahmed, I couldn't get my head around them for like a while. I'm like, only recently I've come around, and I'm like, why the hell would I want to buy an AC Milan token or a Barcelona FC token or whatever? And then like, you have to think about it, right? If you had your own team, like think of your own team, you know, that you love and support and whatnot, if they had a way for you to interact, for you to be part of, you know, so I'm talking about governance here, to be part of events, make decisions on jerseys, logos, colors. You know, I think I can't remember which one it was. It could be AC Milan or Barcelona. They used fan tokens to get fans to vote for who should do a takeover, who should do it like an Instagram
Yeah.
live or TikTok takeover, whatever it was. That's
Yeah.
awesome, right? Like that's phenomenal. Like when you start applying it that way, you're like, okay, you know, I can see it work quite well. And just in the
Yeah.
last week, depending on when you watch this, um, uh, fan tokens like Barcelona, Arsenal, a lot of them have actually been crushing it. In fact, you know, this is just recently when you look at the 9 of the most popular coins on CoinGecko, a lot of them have turned up as gaming tokens, and specifically,
Yeah.
you know, even like Davis, he's talking about last year we had DeFi summer, you know, 2021, it's gaming summer, but I would throw in both gaming, online, and offline into that bracket. But this is crypto. None of this is financial advice, not financial advice at all. But if you do see something like this and you look it up, because you're gonna find this is true. Like you just do your own research.
Hmm.
Be careful of FOMOing in, right? So when you look at something
100%.
like Axel Infinity or Axie Infinity rather, sorry, that blockchain based
Hmm.
game, you know that maybe that's had its day, you know, but 3 or 4 weeks ago it was trading at $7. Now it's, you know, it's like $50 or something. So you have to be careful when you hear these. But the point is that that's not the only one. Avogotchi is on the rise. There's a couple of more that's being announced. So watch this space
Hmm.
quite carefully. Moving on, I want to talk about regulation a little bit. So we touched on this last week, and I think this is phenomenal, right? So we have a community question where we talk a little bit about later, you know, the benefit of Marhaba for non-Muslims. But just as a precursor to that, isn't it interesting, Ahmed, that FTX, Binance announced recently that
Hmm.
they're limiting leverage, right? So let's
Phenomenal.
let's talk about this, right? You know,
Yeah.
why are they doing it, right? So they're doing it because this is in the sphere. I'm taking a bit of a tangent here. This is in the sphere of Binance. Binance, every week someone's banning them. Italy's banning them. Malaysia's recently banned them. Someone's banning them. And CZ, for a long time, CZ, the CEO, was, I don't want to say a bit of a rebel, but they kind of didn't care. They kind of rested on the fact where we don't have headquarters. You know, they kind of had one foot in decentralized, one foot in centralized. But man, you can't mess with governments. You can't mess with them. And they're realizing that they have to play ball. So, time and time again, a lot of news has come out that Binance is complying. They're looking to work with regulators, you know, tax auditors, blah blah blah. But this is the other thing that they did recently was limiting leveraging. Now, why is
Hmm.
this a bad thing? Now, obviously, no leverage is good in Islam, all right? No, like
Yeah. Yeah.
leverage is not allowed. But
That's not
isn't
from
it
us well.
interesting to de-risk it for investors? They're reducing leverage. I mean, it should just go to zero. But it just goes to show there's a reason why Islam bans leveraging. Like it's for your own benefit. It's for your own
Oh
financial
yeah.
security. So I don't know if you want to
Hmm.
touch on that, Ahmed, before we move off this particular story.
I think you kind of summarized it well with the concept that we as Muslims have a benefit in our hand with all these regulations already there put in for us by our Quran and Sunnah, and that's a blessing upon us. And we don't realize this until we jump in and we lose a lot of money, and they were like, okay, now I understand why leverage is not allowed or this and that. Now that being said, like if you're someone who's really smart and understands what they're doing and you can figure out a method of doing leverage without jeopardizing the concept of riba and all this stuff, then it's not a big problem. For example, you can take money from your brother, but this is when you've done your analysis and you've had that 10 year or 7 year of experience with market success. You can do it successfully. Crypto's way too young right now. and a lot of people are jumping in with the hype with FOMO. That's why all the tokens that you're seeing that are the top tokens, even in South Asia and Southeast Asia, Asia at large, are like gaming tokens, meme tokens, and that's all because of FOMO. The concept of, because you hear somebody made 100%, oh sorry, 100x in one day. So what I'm talking about is like that. It's the innocence of the market right now, which where I think, yeah, we should really be reconsidering our mindset about, even if we have halal methods of doing margin, you shouldn't maybe do it, because right now there's not a lot of people that can fully say they understand the market movements and they can analyze and make good trades. Right now, people who are having success in their trades is because the entire market is going towards green, and and you just really don't have to pick anything fancy, or you don't have to do a lot of analysis. You just have to pick the tokens that have the best utility and where you see yourself, this world going towards, like where you see blockchain technology going towards. Kat, now I'm going to bring it back to the topic of margin and why it's not permissible, and why it's a blessing on us, because the risk of taking the margin to the potential return you can make is a unequal balance. There's a higher chance of you not being profitable through this method than you being profitable. And it's that 1 or 2% of individuals that, or okay, now I'm pushing, but like I'll say 5% of individuals that actually are very successful with this margin trading methods. The rest 95 are the ones who are losing it, and that's the game that's really being played here, and that's why. And then imagine having to pay interest on top of your losses. So it's like I just got a huge loss, and then I'm getting more attacks on it. So yeah, it's a blessing. We
It's
should
a consumer protection law. It's a consumer
yeah.
protection law. It's designed to protect you and your finances. And there
Hmm.
is and that's why, like, even before crypto, even Sharia finance, and the idea of Sharia finance has blown up in a lot of economies outside just the Muslim economy. Like, you've had
Yeah.
all these big hedge funds, Deloitte's, all these different financial institutions have, from a secular, from a objective point of view, they have had, now obviously they've got these instruments to cater to the Muslim market, but also because
Hmm.
they see there is some, they're playing both fields kind of thing.
Value.
But
Yeah,
no,
yeah.
but
This is,
absolutely,
they get
absolutely.
they're killing two birds with one stone. They got a new market, plus they have diversified their portfolio in a manner that they know is a better method than the other methods. So yeah, Kat, I mean, you've summarized it well. We have these laws in for us, and we should be living by them for our own benefits.
Absolutely. The one or two last things I wanted to talk about on the Binance, and I do want to touch on Binance specifically because Binance is the world's biggest exchange, centralized
Hmm.
exchange. It does get a lot of heat and it does get a lot of attention because they're always trying to take down the tall poppy, right? So
Hmm.
obviously Binance has, and there's been multiple things. If you follow the news, there's been multiple, things that CZ and Binance have come out. CZ recently said that, and I don't have a screenshot for it here, but he recently said that he's going to step down soon. He's in no rush, but he's going to step down to find someone who has more regulatory experience in that area. So, I mean, it doesn't matter for him, right? That guy's rich. He's loaded. He's done his thing. He's obviously doing this to placate, the governments and people that are out there. But even,
Hmm.
things like this, right? Like, a lot of people get into crypto because of lax, or actually most of the time no, KYC laws. And KYC laws are
Hmm.
when you have to submit your identification, your driver's license or passport, whatever. But even now, Binance, they're limiting withdrawals to no more than, or to 0.06 Bitcoin per day if you don't do your full KYC verification. And that's effective from August.
Yeah.
So they're slowly rolling, because all they need to show regulators is that they're taking steps. So hopefully, and honestly, whether you like Binance, love Binance, it doesn't matter if you hate Binance, you do want this to succeed because they're the biggest poppy, they're the biggest tall poppy in the industry. And if they
Mhm.
fall, it is going to affect prices everywhere. So that's one thing to be mindful of. Even sort of a little bit closer
Yeah.
to me in Australia, Binance, and I know they're doing this. Actually, to be honest, I've heard they've started this in other places. They're partnering with brands like Coinly. So Coinly helps you manage your tax obligations in crypto, and
Hmm.
they've done webinars with these guys and everything. So the point is, they are trying to put things out there. They're trying to get more regulatorily compliant, and that's good. That's great for crypto because it means it is validated. It means the world's paying attention. It means now they care enough to think this is not a fad. We need to put
Yeah.
regulation in, and that's great all around. So that's the market update for the week.
Fantastic. All right, thank you so much. I mean, I got so many comments and questions on top of that, so this is good. If you guys have questions and comments from the market update, please leave them in the comments below, and we'll be reaching out to you guys. We'll be reading them and answering some of your questions for sure, inshallah. Okay, so the market, oh sorry, the update for what's going on with Marhaba. I'm not gonna go into a lot of details, but I'm just gonna say in hindsight, we have the wallet in a good position right now. So it has been passed over from the development team to the beta testing team. So they're going to be working on that, inshallah, in the upcoming week and the week after. If we don't see any issues or any concerns, it's going to be launched soon after that, and we'll keep you guys updated. Do follow us on our Telegram and other social medias, because that's where you'll first get the answer about what's going on with Marhaba, not only with the wallet, with NFT marketplace and all the other services that Marhaba is about to provide. So that's like kind of the update about what's going on with Marhaba and the Sahal wallet. So the insight of the week, we talked about in our last show, trading versus investing, and this is where Moby, I'd love to, I'd love for you to chime in on this and get your own experiences and just share with us what you think. So investing versus trading. Now these two methods are the most common methods when it comes for people jumping into the market and trying to make a profit from it. Trading, in hindsight, is a short term, you can say, swing trading or day trading method for maximizing your daily return, weekly returns, or some people also like to push it to a monthly return. Investing is more of a long-term approach. This is where a lot of big investors say is the greatest success, because the effort put in with the result given is at the highest is through long-term investing. And this is where you look at a project, you get into the details of it, you look at the quantitative and also the qualitative, but you focus on the utility of this project, and how much do you think it's going to grow in the future years with the team, with how they're managing, with their future or past successes, and then you invest in it like that. I know there's this one really well-known investors. I'm forgetting the name right now, but he said, I don't even ever have to look at the financial statements of companies while investing in stocks, because I invest for the long run, and I just put my money in and I wait patiently. He says one of the most strongest assets a trader could have, or an investor could have, is patience, and that's where the benefits comes in place for investing. On the other hand, trading is more like a short term. You gotta be quick on your game. You gotta wake up early every single day. You gotta learn about the market. You gotta see what's happening in the market. You gotta be on top of the news, the financial statements, the fundamentals, the technicals, the chart analysis.
It's a
There is
lot.
a higher yeah, there's a higher profit making opportunity with trading. However, the effort you put in is quite a bit. Big time big time traders and big time capital market career oriented individuals have burnouts at the age of 35, 40, and this is because they're always involved with the market. They know exactly what's happening with what and why is it happening and all this stuff, because they have to. Their daily returns are based off of their knowledge. Me personally, this is where I'm jumping on my method. I like to have a mixture of both. When I'm not really involved with, like, other things like my job and family and all this stuff, I like to do a little bit of trading also, because I find it fun. But I'm not. That's not what my focused area is. My focused area really is investing. When I jump into a opportunity, I'm looking at it in a 5 year, 6 year, 7 year, 10 year goal, because that's where I think my efforts will have the highest return, because I'm not trying to sit in front of a laptop all day long and just do chart analyses and technicals and fundamentals. Kat, what's your take on this movie? What would you say is the difference between one another, and which one do you like?
No, I think you said it perfectly. Look, we both have jobs. Obviously, we've got stuff to do. Most of our listeners, if you're day traders, you're not listening to us. You're like deep, neck deep in charts and whatnot, right? So all of you would be in the investor category. So I agree with you there. You said it perfectly. If I was gonna add anything differently, I would sort of say, or anything extra, I'd say, look, how practically it's one thing. Because I thought about this too. Obviously I'm more of an investor versus a trader, but sometimes you want to play, and like most of the time I've actually failed. So how I sort of learnt is, I had my Ethereum bag, and Ethereum for me makes up 85% of my portfolio, on average,
Okay.
85% of my portfolio, sometimes 80%. And, I wanted to trade with that. So, I'm like, oh, okay, I think it's going to drop. I'm going to sell a percentage. And then, of course, it didn't drop, right? This happens to everyone. For some reason, it feels like the whole market is against you. When you sell, that's when the market goes up. You know what I mean? So I'm like, no, that doesn't work. So what I then started doing is separating my bags. Now, this is a good way to demarcate the two. So if you have your main investment bag, don't touch it. If it is a fundamentals, so this is the thing, people think I don't like Doge and don't like XRP and don't like some of these coins, and I don't, but I see a view for trading, right? It depends on what you're trying to
Hmm.
do. If you're trying to make a bit of money, like recently last week, in all transparency, noticing the boom in socios and chilies, I used a small bag and I bought some fan tokens, Barcelona, Arsenal. I don't please soccer fans don't hate me. I don't know how to I don't know the rules of that sport. I have no idea if they're playing or not playing, but I bought it
Uh-huh.
because fundamentally I see a good short term benefit. So my tip
Hmm.
there would be like split it up. So Forrest Prebish, who is a senior analyst at Token Metrics, is a bunch of people who I follow, and what he talks about is having 10% of your total bag, if you want to call it, in stable coins, right? Or in, USD or whatever. And, play with that. So the way I do it now is I have a separate bag and I just play with
Hmm.
that. If I make any profits, great. I take those profits and then I put it in stable coins and I just keep playing with that. And sometimes I will have my Ethereum, but then I might want to actually do a bit of trading in Ethereum, but it's separate. I know which bag I'm using. So agree with you completely, Ahmed. I think the key thing there is separating it that way. Some people, I don't want to go to the hassle because I don't want multiple accounts, but some people even open up separate accounts. So they'll open up a Binance and
Yeah.
another account or another Binance and then do it that way. But I think that's a bit overcooked. So yeah, that's the way
Yeah.
I would do it.
Like so, and it's exactly that's exactly how I do it. I have a different bag for it. I do have a few different accounts, and trust me, you don't want to have a few different
It gets
accounts. It's
hard.
it's a head. Yeah, it just gets annoying because you have to keep different ones open. You got to continuously log out, log in, the two process verification. Oh man, don't get me started. But it's good. It's for our own safety. A few things that I would say for brothers who are and sisters who are trying to go into trading and not investing, just keep out for this because I've done trading and I have been profitable in the past, but it took out 13 hours of my day. Like it drained me while doing this. And I did this when I was, when university courses had finished and we had that summer break type of thing. I was just working part time in a restaurant and I was just trying to learn. I did lose money initially, and then I started understanding the pattern. With a lot of day traders, what they do is they understand their time frames, their patterns, and which are their few like ratios that they're working with. Now, this is with forex I'm talking about. You can also talk about crypto, which are their few cryptos that they're working with. They understand that crypto in and out. They know exactly everything about that crypto. They to the point they probably even know, the founders' kids' school and last names and everything. So they know everything about that crypto or those few ratios, and they trade within the same time frame, and they trade with similar amount of buckets, and they have that pattern already set out for them, and that's what makes them successful. And it's not always 90-80% successful. They also have losses, but because they've done it for so many days, months, and years, they realize the method, they realize the process, and which method works with them personally, and they just keep doing that on a cyclical method and hoping it's always going to be above a 60-70% win than loss. And so it kind of it works out both ways. So, Kat, yeah, that's just a few things I wanted to talk about. If you guys are interested in trading, and if you are, do take a course. I recommend it, and do paper trading before paper day trading before you jump into the market with your own personal money, because it's a little bit difficult to get a hold
Mm.
around.
And watch those,
Okay,
have those coins on a watch list, like watch them. So then you know,
yeah,
because it's about time and entry points. So fundamentals don't
exactly.
matter as much, right? Obviously, with trading, they don't matter as much. I mean, they definitely help, and there's the market is big enough for there to be an overlap. You know, if you think of a Venn diagram, fundamentals, but also like good like long term trading option or short term trading options. But
Hmm.
absolutely. But I think we're almost coming to time, so I think Ahmed, what we might do is kick it to our community question of the week.
Okay. All right. So phenomenal, guys. What benefit is MHB to non-Muslims? And this is a question that Moby brought up. Being part of the, working with the team and knowing what's going on a little bit, um, the MHB token really it encompasses a lot of few things. Okay. So first thing first, if you look at it from just a financial perspective, nothing else, just goal is to make money. MHB token is the first of its kind, which the Marhaba is trying to bring an entire platform of solutions for the faith-based investors category. Mind you, there's many faith-based investors who are trying to jump into crypto, but because they have the lack of knowledge when it comes to screening which crypto is going to be compliant with the whichever religion they're believing in XYZ, or Islam is a Sharia compliant or not. And that's why they just stay away from it. They're like, you know what, we're not going to risk it because obviously it's a big deal that you're risking if you're trying to make money the unpermissible way. Because if you make money the unpermissible way, all of it's going to go to charity. So if you spend hours and hours and hours doing analysis and putting your money into something, you find out it's not permissible later, you just have to give that to charity, and you don't really get ajr for it. So there's that aspect that there's a huge market that hasn't been taken advantage of. And I use the word advantage very softly. I'm not saying like we're trying to take money from them, but it's like no one's really has made a product for this market. Um, so there's that. So there's a huge opportunity when it comes to the market. Second thing, if you look at the concept of ethical investing, um, Marhaba is focused heavily on ethical investing. That's why you don't see things that are high margins, where there's methods of interest based products, because one, faith, and two, because if you see in the 2008 market crash, I've already talked about this. The 2008 market crash was heavily induced by the interest rates, the loaning, the lending, and people not paying back. And then the same loans that people didn't pay back, the interest had to be paid back after, and the ways that people had taken out interest from these borrowers was very unethical. So, I mean, getting to the whole point is that there's an ethical umbrella underneath Marhaba also. So if you're somebody who wants to invest in things that are ethical, and you want to invest in projects that are not going to harm society and all that things, this is the other reason as to why. I'm gonna say one more reason is because it's one platform where you can get a lot of solutions in one place. Right now you have to have a separate account for staking, separate account for, if you do lending and borrowing, you have to do a separate trading. You have to do a separate account. If you have a portfolio management software or service of some sort, some people have a robot doing their trading for them. They have to go to a different platform. Marhaba is trying to get all of that under one shelf, and give you guys access to it through one method, one medium. And so when you look at all these things, there's a lot of value that's coming for non-Muslims, Muslims, anybody. To be honest, right? We always says Marhaba is a Muslim also project, not a Muslim only project, or faith-based also project, not a faith-based only project. So I hope I kind of summarized the question well. Mo, what do you think? What's your opinion on this?
No, I think that's great. I think absolutely the whole point of having it all in one spot as well, I think is so powerful, rather than jumping around. So, and big shout out to, I'm going to butcher this name, so apologies in advance. Yes, Keller. who asked the question in the Marhaba DeFi Telegram group, who wanted to know the benefit of Marhaba DeFi to non-Muslims. And it's a very interesting question because there is a bigger percentage of non-Muslims in the Telegram group than I thought there were. And the only other thing, which is amazing, which is good, right? It shows that people are understanding and appreciating the value. And if I was going to add anything else to that, I'd say, look, two things. That, like I was saying to Yaskela in the, I'm just going to call her. Fan Y, right? Fan Y, like I said to Fan Y in the Telegram group, two things. One, ethical, right? So ethical is a universal principle. It's not, it's not necessarily a secular or non-secular. It's ethical. A lot of people are investing in ethical means. Whether it be for their home or their car or like where they invest. This is not just a Muslim principle. So the idea that that your money isn't going to go into military companies or alcohol, tobacco, pornography or anything like that is very heartening to know for a lot of investors, and that's very important for a
Hmm.
lot of investors. But secondly, and we've discussed this at length already, right? That whole inbuilt consumer protection that Sharia has. There is a principle
Hmm.
that Islam has, that Sharia finance has, that draws a lot of non-Muslims to it, which is that not overextending yourself, protecting your finances, not adding. The whole thing boils down to, and Mufti Umarji, Bilal Umarji would be able to answer this a lot better than me, but the whole idea is your Islam is never going to give you a financial instrument where the risk heavily outweighs the return. Obviously, trading,
Hmm.
even back in the days when you buy grains, you sell them somewhere else. There's going to be a risk in everything, but it is,
Yeah.
proportionate to the risk that you put in. The reward is
Hmm.
proportionate to the risk, and that is the
Hmm.
core of the problem with some of these instruments we have there. So I think it's
Yeah.
fantastic. It does show the universal application, the universal, I guess, attractiveness of something like Marhaba DeFi, and not only Marhaba DeFi, but Sharia finance and compliance as a whole. So it's great. It's great for everyone.
Yeah, for sure. Like if you look at Islamic finance at large, after the 2008 market crash, a lot of companies started realizing the value that it could have because the results showed that the Malaysian bank, the Indonesian banks, which are based off of Islamic finance, were not heavily affected like the banks in America. So, there's all that concepts of it too. Kat, this was great. This was phenomenal. If you guys want us to bring on a scholar and talk about these things, let us know in the comments, and join our Telegram group. Say it in there. Hey guys, I watched the show. Can we get a scholar in there to talk about certain things? And if you guys do want a scholar to come in, just put the comments in. Just put in the comments, and also just in the comments write down what questions do you want us to ask him. What conversation do you want us to have with him, and we can have the him in crypto show 3, 4, 5, 6, wherever we think we can get him from his schedule, his businessman, and also that works for the show well. So inshallah, let us know. And if there's any other questions, let us know in the comments. I think that kind of wraps up the conversation for today. Moby, as always, thank you so much. Thank you guys for watching. Thank you guys for coming. In the meantime, take care of yourself. Assalamu alaikum.
Assalamu alaikum.